And welcome to another episode of Experts Speak. I am Michael DeLon. Today I am talking with Nina Cooke. Now, Nina, thank you for spending some time with me this morning.
It's such a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's going to be a wonderful conversation. Nina and I have I read her book, one of her books. She's written multiple books around mindset and different things for financial advisors. And we have some friends in common. And then our paths crossed a few weeks ago. And I wanted to have her on here. She had me on her podcast. So I thought, hey, we should have her on my podcast because she does something that I think every business owner, probably every human, can really benefit from. And that's helping us develop an unstoppable mindset. So I want to get into that, Nina, but as we get there, tell me, how in the world did you get doing what you're doing today?
Well, I never ever thought I would be doing this work. I grew up feeling very unconfident about myself. I had a narcissistic older sister who sapped away at my confidence every day. And when I grew up, I thought the easiest way for me to feel safe is to stay under the radar and be invisible, because I always felt it was dangerous to have her attention on me. Therefore, I tried to avoid being the center of attention.
Yeah.
This, as you can imagine, had huge impact on my work. I didn't get the promotions I could have got because I was scared of people in authority. And I also I suffered in my relationships as well because I never felt authentic and I could speak up for myself. I started my first online business back in 2005. It was a personal shopping business. It grew very quickly. It became a nationwide service. I had an amazing team of personal shoppers, makeup artists, get raving testimonials from clients. But I knew that I wasn't marketing in a way that I could be marketing. I never put my name on my website. There was no photo of me to be found. And I didn't do any speaking or social engagements, anything like that. Now, I was very good on the phone selling, and I was good at marketing online. And one day I landed a really nice big corporate gig within a big accountancy firm in London. And we went over in the evening to set up for them. They had a big do for all the top female execs and their top female clients. I took along a team of 20 stylists, makeup artists, manicurists. They all set up their stations. Everyone was ready, booked in with their expert. And when everything had been set up, I thought, great, I've got some free time. I can go and talk to some of the executives and see if I can get another gig from them. So I started walking towards these two women, looking very high powered in their lovely suits. And as I started walking towards them, a little voice in my head said, don't go and talk to them, because if you talk to them, they'll realize you're not very good at what you do. They'll see you're not good enough and they'll wonder why they ever booked you. So I did a quick, sharp left turn, and luckily I found some offices which were in semi-darkness. And I opened one of the doors, luckily it opened, and I went and sat inside this semi-dark office for the rest of the evening. At the end of the evening, when most people had gone home, I crept out of the office, made sure my team were happy, all packed up. And then on the train on the way home, I remember I looked at my reflection in the window. It was a dark November evening. And I looked at myself and I said, you've done it again. You've screwed up again. You've lost another opportunity. You keep doing this again and again. And that is when I realized that I had to change something about me. And the other thing, Michael, I know you're a father. The other thing I was playing in the back of my head is I had young children at that point, and I wanted to be an authentic role model for them. I wanted to be someone that they could see she's confident in herself. She gets the most out of life. She's the person who can go and talk to anyone. She can ask for what she wants. I wanted to be that person for them. And I decided, I don't care what it takes. I am going to sort this out once and for all. I want to show up as my true self in life. I don't want to be scared anymore. I want to be there and really make the most of my life. And then began a long, long journey, lots of twists and turns, blind alleys, some great big changes along the way. And what I found on my journey of personal development is that what worked best for me was really identifying the deeply hidden limiting beliefs that kept me playing small. Now, these were a combination of self-esteem limiting beliefs like I'm not good enough, there's something wrong with me, it's dangerous to be visible, it's scary to play big. And also, there was a stack of money beliefs, which I didn't realize I had, and success beliefs as well, which were stopping me from playing full out. Once I found a great coach who helped me to dissolve these limiting beliefs, I suddenly started taking a very different type of action in my business. I started making videos. This would have been the most terrifying thing for me. I remember one day thinking, I'll just shoot a 2-minute video. And there was no voice in my head saying, oh, you can't do that. That's dangerous. So I did a very grainy, terrible sound quality video. I put it on my website, and I was thinking, I've done it, and the sky hasn't fallen in. So from there, I started reaching out to bigger clients. I started marketing in a much bigger way, and my business grew exponentially. Now, I'd never really put the two things together. By working on my mindset and becoming more confident, I can grow my business. The penny dropped, and I thought, I want to do this with other entrepreneurs. I want to help them to step up in their businesses, raise their prices, put themselves out in a bigger way, have a bigger vision of what's possible for them, and have bigger goals. And that's how I started working with entrepreneurs.
That is so good. Thank you for sharing that story, because I think that echoes probably a lot of the stories of entrepreneurs, of our listeners. I love your next book, by the way. I think the title should be Sitting in the Shadows.
I'm going to make a note of that.
Sitting in that half dark room, but how many entrepreneurs are sitting in the shadows because we listen to that voice and we don't know how to overcome it? Because unfortunately, Nina, that voice goes with me everywhere I go. And until I can sit down and figure out how to identify it, that you did, your limiting belief, how to dissolve it, as you say, and then I would assume how to replace it with a different belief of some nature, we're going to stay in the shadows, not achieving our full potential. Is that fair?
That is absolutely spot on. Now, I'd like to stress to everyone, it's not your fault. It's not your fault that you have this voice going on. It's old news, it's old stories from your past. You've attached meanings to these stories, scary meanings. Well, no one listened to me back then, so no one's going to listen to me now. That person said no to working with me. Other people are going to say no to working with me. No one's going to pay me that much. I can't put up my fees. We have all of these stories going on. The world isn't a safe place, etc. So this is old stuff. I was talking to a client yesterday, and he said, but I had this big traumatic event that happened in 2005. Before then, I was a different person. Since then, I haven't been able to get my business going. I said, that's a story. You can buy into that story of how you changed in 2005, but that's going to dictate your present and your future. So let's just wave goodbye to that story. Let's start now in this present moment. What do you want? What is your end goal? And let's work from there. I know this isn't easy to do because I had to wave goodbye to my childhood stories of how my parents neglected me, how I wasn't loved, blah, 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 etc. It's not going to help me now. And I don't want to keep churning over my past and bring up more evidence of why I'm not good enough, why I can't do this, etc. So it is saying that was then. I've learned a lot of lessons. It's been helpful in its own way. But now, where do I want to go?
Right. That is so good. It's crazy when you were explaining all of that. The movie came to me, or the book, board game, all of it. Clue. I don't know if you ever watched the movie Clue. Miss Maple in the kitchen with a broomstick. It's this murder mystery, and it's kind of a funny murder mystery type thing. And there's a board game around it, and you're trying to guess who did it with what instrument where. And when they did the movie, and they came up to the ending of the movie, and then you got to choose. And they actually did like 3 or 4 endings of the movie. All of them could have worked, right? And it made me think, if that's how we live our life, we have something that happens, we have a story, we get to choose how do we interpret that event. Okay, so you don't know this about me. On June 29th of 1987, my dad was killed in a motorcycle accident. Now,
wow,
that was an event that happened, but how I interpret that event dictates really how do I live my life today? Did it crater me? Did it fuel me? Did it give me a new perspective of life and living, of every day's precious? What it's how I interpret that event. And that's kind of what you said about that client you were working with. They had an event, but they've chosen to interpret it a certain way, believing that that is true. Well, it's true as long as you believe it, but you can change that interpretation of that event and make it work for you. Leave it, in a sense, leave it behind and move forward. And that's what you help business owners do, right? Because we all have that baggage. We all have those events that we're tied to. It's like a chain, and we need to break free. That's what you help with, right?
Yes, that's exactly what I do. And, the important thing about how we view our past is our identity. Now, often, many of us have like a victim story. You know, this happened and, it wasn't fair and this person treated me like this, etc. I've got a victim story. We've all got the victim stories going on. If we choose to remain with that story, we will identify with that identity of being the victim. And if we identify with that identity of being the victim, then we are like putting out a message saying, I'm a victim, and the universe, subconscious, whatever you want to call it, will say, okay, you're a victim, got it, I'll bring you more of that. And that is literally how it works. So we have to almost consciously and intentionally say, okay, that's like version 1.0 of me, where I'm in the victim state. Let me now tune into version 2.0 of me. What is my reality in my 2.0 version? Well, my 2.0 version is I get everything I want. I'm confident. I've got great clients. I can charge what I like. I've got wonderful relationships. This isn't fantasy land. This is literally saying, this is who I now choose to be, where my life goes really well. I've got great opportunities. I take those opportunities. Life is an adventure, etc. Because it's all about our mental diet. With the victim mode, we have a certain mental diet going on. Things aren't going to work out. What's the point? Life is a struggle, etc. And we can say, well, it's true because I've got so much evidence to say that this is all true. Okay, we can say it's true. However, do you want to continue thinking those stuff? Because you will get more of that in your life. So we have to, if you want to say fake it, I don't mind. To me, it feels true to say I've got an alternative state I can enter into. And in that state, I have everything I want. I get to have everything I want. Everything is unfolding in a way that harmonizes with all of my goals. That's why I choose to believe. I'm not going to settle for anything less than that. That is what I believe. And if you continue to make that your mental diet and you continue to believe that is who you are, then sooner or later it will seep in, it will really saturate your mind, and you will start seeing your 3D reality unfolding to reflect that new thinking. Because that's all 3D does. We can look out in the world and say, oh, it's a really dangerous place, and oh, I don't feel safe, and the economy's not great. We can say all of these things, but we can control how we think by first paying attention to, what am I buying into? What do I believe is true about me and about the world and about other people? Well, thinking in the 1.0 version isn't working great for me, so I'm going to try just tuning into my 2.0 version and thinking fresh and different thoughts. Don't get me wrong. This is not, for me, it's been challenging.
Yeah.
It has been challenging for me to make that switch because it's so easy to keep falling back into 1.0. Oh, well, I've been doing this for a while and still nothing has changed in my 3D reality. It can't be working. That's when we waver. So it's just sticking with it and sticking with it. And at some point, it will unfold. It's happened to me multiple times.
Yeah, it's very. I just heard a story. I was listening to another podcast, and the guy was talking about how this husband and wife were looking out their windows into the backyard of their neighbors, and they had like laundry hung up. The neighbor did, and husband and wife were always talking about, why does the laundry always look so dirty and grimy, and then they hired a window cleaner to come in and clean all their windows, and the next day they woke up and the neighbor's laundry was bright and white and clean, because they clean their windows. And really that's what you're talking about, is cleaning the windows of our mind, of our past, to go, the window is still there, the event still happened, my dad still got killed in the accident, How am I going to interpret that to go forward and choose to live today, tomorrow, the next day with a different mindset and realize that life can be better. I'm here to contribute. I was just reading Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People for about the 80th time. And he had a line there. He's like, what is the contribution that I'm here to make today? And I think if you think about making a contribution, you're moving away from that victim mentality. And you're saying, I'm here to contribute something, to be good, to be grateful, to be thankful. That whole mindset kicks off an entire process that helps you have what you would call that unstoppable mindset. Fair?
Yeah, that is so fair. And it shows up in the smallest ways. I've got a client who has lots of templates. She's got a shop full of templates. She has been terrified to send out emails because no one's going to be interested and her list is cold. And, what if no one buys? It'll show her that, what she has is not of interest to anyone. So we spoke about her mindset around sending out emails, being seen, being visible, all of that, putting herself out there. And we undid some limiting beliefs, dissolved them, put some new powerful beliefs in her subconscious. She sent out 3 emails and she made $12,000 in her
Wow.
sleep
That's pretty good.
because they went to a shop and they bought her templates. So this is how we resist taking action, because we have these stories, negative stories about how people perceive us. Well, it's dangerous to be putting myself out there and no one's going to be interested in what I have. And, other people do this stuff much better than me. All of this stuff is stopping us from being happier, making more money, being more successful, taking better care of our families, because these are just stories that are built on sand.
Yeah.
They are not true about anyone.
Well, and the line that I like to use is events have no meaning in and of themselves. It's the meaning and the story that we attach to those events that controls, that shape us, right?
Exactly.
And so we have to understand that to be able to, dare I say, reprogram my mind, but it's reprogramming and rethinking about events and going, okay, no, I do have great templates. They are valuable. I'm going to offer them. And if my audience says they're junk, well, that's just feedback. Okay, good. I'll change them. I'll go do something else. That's the mindset that we need to have, that you help business owners get past, right? Let's talk to our audience. What are people struggling with? What's going through their mind before they would reach out and talk with you and say, I really need to talk, because I've got something going on. What are some of the most common things that you find with business owners that are just kind of holding them back?
They're not making as much money as they want to. They don't have the type of clients that they want to be working with. They feel stuck. They know they're hiding and they're not marketing in the way that they could be marketing. They are overwhelmed. There's a lot of overwhelm. They're not sure what they need to do next. And they're doing things which aren't making them happy in terms of doing types of marketing. And because they don't like doing that marketing, they stop doing it. Shiny object syndrome is a huge problem, because people sometimes start things, but they don't see them through. They don't finish them. And then they'll buy something that's expensive, new toy, start that, won't finish it off. So there's lack of focus, lack of productivity, procrastination, fear of selling themselves. I have clients who will not, will do everything to sabotage sales conversations because they hate getting a no. There's a real fear, because then they feel it's a personal rejection to them. So those are the main areas where business owners are struggling to drive their businesses forward.
Yeah.
And it's so easily taken care of. This is the thing, because just about everyone is brilliant at what they do. They're serving, they can help their clients transform their lives. But if they're not making those services available, if they're not charging, a decent amount for them, then they're not serving themselves and not serving their clients. So for everyone who's listening, all of these negative thoughts that you have going on in your heads, they are all easily dissolvable. You can get rid of them all, and you can just have a really positive conversation going on in your head 24/7.
And yes, and let me dive into that a little bit more to encourage people to reach out to you, because Nina, I have bought the books, right? I've listened to the tapes, I have gone to the movies, I've heard this over and over. And what happens is you get on this high. Oh, I can do this, I can do this, and then about 3 or 4 or 5 days later, life happens, and then you're back off it, and then it's like, oh, that didn't work. I'm going to buy another one. I'm going to listen to another YouTube video. I'm going to watch TED Talk. And I think what happens for me anyway, and I think this works for a lot of people, is the personal connection, having somebody like you that's there with more accountability, with more encouragement, with more help, with more tools in your tool belt than I would ever know about. It's that keeps me going. I found the most change in my life in any coaching program has been the one-on-one with the coach. And I think being there and being in a small group of other people, that just does more than saying, well, okay, I'm going to go listen to a tape set, or I'm going to go read her book or whatever. Those are all great. Lasting change happens, for me anyway, when you're connected with somebody who can guide you, because you're right. You just listed about 12 different things that we all struggle with at some level, all very easily dissolvable. And then Nina can help you rebuild the right type of mindset based on your own values, based on what you're wanting to do and who you want to be. So did that make sense in the connection? And I want you to talk about how you work with entrepreneurs. What's it look like? Is it group coaching? Is it reading my book? Is it what is it?
Yes, you're absolutely spot on. So I work with clients in two ways: through my mastermind, and the mastermind is pure mindset work. I love to workshop in my mastermind and in my one-to-one calls. So I'll say, this is the process. I want you to do it now. And then
Mm-hmm.
we're going to unpack it. If you've got any questions, I'm going to answer your questions so you feel confident. So we work together in the mastermind, and we can go really deep into mindset. We have plenty of time to do all of that in a really supportive, amazing group of entrepreneurs. And then the other way, if people want bigger results, faster results, then I work one-to-one with them in my VIP coaching program. And the first step with every single client is to say, what do you want?
Yeah.
What do you want in every area of your life? And you will be amazed, Michael, at how few people really know what they want.
Yeah.
Because many people have very fuzzy goals. Well, I'd like to make more money. I'd like to spend less time in the office. I'd like to travel more. But they don't really define clearly what they want. So I'll say, if you don't know what you want, then we don't know what we're working towards.
Right.
So always it's, what do you want? And don't just go halfway down the road. Go all the way to the end of the road and think big,
Yeah.
because it's possible for you to have this stuff. We've been conditioned to think small. Well, don't get too big for your boots. Don't expect too much in life. You'll only be disappointed.
Right.
But that is just negative programming, and it's time to throw it off. So I'll say to them, have you got a vision board? Or do you like writing? If you like writing, write down your goals, get super clear. And then we start working backwards from the goals. Okay, what's your resistance to that goal? Let's find out your limiting beliefs and let's start dissolving them. And then I teach them how to create a daily mindset practice, which is talking to themselves in a way that supports their goals.
Yeah.
Because most of our talk takes us away from our goals, sabotages them. But we have to have a talk that supports our goals.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, I've told people all the time as I've counseled them with scripture and different things, is I always say, Nina, stop listening to yourself and start talking to yourself. Because that voice in our head, we are listening to that voice that says, you can't do that. Who are you? You don't have. Whereas when you talk to yourself, and I love that, because when you script it out and you can read it daily, it does program your mind. It makes you go, oh yeah, that is who I am, who I'm becoming. And it changes your mindset little by little. But it's not some kind of Eastern religion woo-woo stuff where you're sitting in the corner going, oh no. This is like really practical, going, you know what, I want my business to be doing $3.5 million a year in the next by December 31st of 2028. We're doing that, right? I want my daughter to go to this university, and here's how we're going to get there. It's those kinds of specifics that you start working toward. I'm going to show up every day. I'm going to serve my clients with excellence. I live with a positive attitude, right? It's those types of things that Nina can help you do, because dare I say, most of my audience probably aren't doing this. It took me years to figure this out, right? And lots of coaches and lots of books and lots of programs to go, oh, is that what you mean? Is it that simple? Really? Well, yeah, it actually is when you have somebody like Nina guiding you through the process, because it doesn't come naturally, right? And I think having somebody like you, Nina, guide and direct, if they're in your mastermind, that's always a good place to be, because you're there and they have a group of peers to realize I'm not the only one struggling with this. That always brings solace to my soul, right?
Yeah,
So
same with me as well. And just one thing about the end goal is that often we get stuck in thinking, well, if I want that, how am I going to get that? When is it going to happen? There are too many obstacles in the way. So I would encourage everyone listening on this call to start paying more attention and more focus on the end goal and not getting stuck in the hows,
yes.
because that can be like quicksand and it can suck all of the positive energy and flip you back into the negative energy. So just focus on the end goal as much as you can throughout the day.
Yep. That's great. That's great, because many times when you do that, the how shows up. Is what I
Exactly.
found, is that I don't always have to know the how. Somebody shows up, and that is my how, or my who, as Dan Sullivan would say. My who shows up, who can do the how. It's like, oh, well, that was kind of cool. But
Yes.
it's the dream. One of my long-term mentors had a phrase. He said, "It's the dream that motivates us." Just what you're saying. Look at that end goal. That's where we're going. That's going to help focus that mindset. Having a daily process of reading, reaffirming who you are, where you're going. That's what Nina can help you do. So let me encourage you listening to this. If you are struggling with um, not making enough money, struggling in your business, being overwhelmed, procrastination, lack of focus, scared of being told no, any of those things, reach out and have the conversation with Nina. See what she offers. Talk with her, because as she says, all of this is easily dissolved. It's not an overnight pill, but it doesn't take nearly as long as you might think. And you're going to find some breakthrough, and you're going to find that business is a lot more fun. Life is great when you have an unstoppable mindset. And that's what Nina can help you create and develop. Nina, how do people take that next step with you? Where do they go to find you?
They can find me in a number of ways. They can go to my website. I have a booking link if you want to have a 15-minute chat to see whether I can help you to achieve your goals. I have a book which I wrote with for financial advisors, but every sentence in that book applies to every type of business leader. And I have a scorecard that you can take to find out where your biggest blocks are. So there's lots of ways of getting in touch with me.
Awesome. I'm going to grab those. I'm going to have some of those in the show notes, so that if you're a overwhelmed business owner and you just don't have time to stop right now, listen to this again today, and then go to the show notes and find Nina. We're going to have a link to her website, LinkedIn, all of that, so that you can connect with her and have a conversation with her. First of all, book the call and talk with her for a few minutes to see where you are, how she can help you, and if her mastermind or her one-on-one coaching VIP program is right for you, to help you dissolve your limiting beliefs and set yourself up with an unstoppable mindset. And the thing I love about this, Nina, is this is a lifetime return. Once you get this, once you figure this out, it changes every area of your life for the rest of your life. And the number of people your clients get to change because they've changed is amazing. And that's why I love what you do. I appreciate you being here. So let me encourage my audience, create an unstoppable mindset. Go check out Nina Cooke, and it's going to be a great adventure. So Nina, thank you. Thanks for being who you are. Thanks for being on my podcast and for making such a difference in the lives of many, many people.
Thank you, Michael.